Jackson over the middle, and it's caught by Houston. He breaks through 2 tacklers. He's ahead of everyone. He's going down the far sideline, down to the 30-yard line. He's 10 yards ahead of the field. A touchdown. Wow, 81 yards.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you can maybe give this video a thumbs up, or possibly leave a comment below, maybe even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But at least anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you. Well, now the staff is starting to fill out. There's not many more positions left, except for maybe we'll have to wait and see how many assistants they wind up bringing in. But it was kind of rumored. I mean, just what I'm reading. You know, all I go by is just like, you know, pretty much what I read. I try to get, you know, good sources and just, you know, try to read their information and just pass it along to you. So Brian Cox was supposed to be like in the running, you know, for you know, the defensive line coach. Well, that's not happening. Apparently, sounds like we're going to be getting somebody a little bit better than him. It's just the weird thing is that when, you know, the reporting of Brian Cox wasn't locked. It wasn't a lock, but I mean, like, you know, he was going to have a shot at being maybe the defensive line coach. I mean, what I've seen, the last time he coached was in the 2017, after, you know, Super Bowl after the 2016 season. It's when the Falcons and the Patriots were in the Super Bowl. I mean, so basically beginning of 2017. So I mean, you know, he's been out for 5 years. I haven't seen him where he coached at all or anything in the past 5 years. So just, I don't know. I mean, if he wanted to coach that bad, or if he was that good, don't you think he'd be coaching someplace, or somebody would hire him? I mean, it's like, you know, I mean, he's not 79 years old. I mean, he's not, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're that good, somebody's going to throw enough money at you. Guess what? You'll be coaching someplace. So I don't know what the heck happened, but you know, won't be him. Looks like we're getting Andre Patterson. What I'm reading is being labeled as the next Giants defensive line coach. That's a very good hire. He's been coaching. This season will be his 40th year coaching, so some of you guys aren't even that old. He started coaching in 1983. All right, so 2022 will be his 40th year. He's been a D-line coach, quite a few stops. He was the D-line coach, defensive line coach at Weber State, Cornell, Washington State, the Patriots. He's had 2 stops with the Vikings, right? So he went to the Patriots and he went to the Vikings. Then he's the defensive line coach for the Cowboys, defensive line coach for the Browns, defensive line coach for the Broncos. Then he went to, yes, Regis Jesuit High School. Oh, yeah. That school, yes. He was the defensive line coach there. I didn't realize. I guess high schools have. I guess they have almost as many coaches, I guess, as the professional teams do. But anyway, after the Regis Jesuit High School, he was the defensive line coach at UNLV, UTEP, Florida International University, and he went back to the Vikings in 2014, and he was there until 2021, and now he's with the Giants in 2022. So he's been 14. He's been the defensive line coach at 14. I can't say different stops because he was twice with the Vikings, but you know, yeah, you've been coaching for 40 years in 14 different places, so to speak. You know, you've been a defensive line coach. You're a good defensive line coach. Now, with the Vikings, I mean, you know, he's there with Mike Zimmer. Mike Zimmer is, you know, a good defensive mind as well, too. But he was with the Vikings from 2014 to 2019. So in 2020, Mike Zimmer made him the co-defensive coordinator and the defensive line coach. Then in 2021, he made him the assistant head coach, the co-defensive coordinator, and the defensive line coach. So, I mean, they didn't have a super spectacular season or anything this year, but the guy's good. The guy knows his stuff. He's a very, very good defensive line coach. So, that's a good hire. That's a really good hire. We'll have to wait and see. Pretty much every place he's been at, he's only there for a couple of years, except for recently here with the Vikings. He got there 2014. He's been there from 2014 to 2021. That's by far his longest stay in any one spot. But we'll have to wait and see. If Mike Zimmer made you like an assistant head coach and a co-defensive coordinator and the defensive line coach, that's saying something. The guy's good. So hopefully, we can get something maybe a little bit better, maybe out of Leo the Lion, Dexter Lawrence. Maybe we draft somebody because we need to do better against the run. So this is a step in the right direction. Andre Patterson was also there. He developed some pretty good with the Vikings, some pretty good rushers too. So hopefully, that's a real good hire. Then the Giants are bringing in. I've been practicing this name. Our new linebacker coach, John Igorugwu. John Igorugwu. I practiced that for about a minute or so. It was not easy to want him coming out that one. He's their linebacker coach. Now, he was Vanderbilt just for the 1 year linebacker coach in 2021. But he last worked in the NFL with the Bills. He spent from 2015 to 2016. He only has been around that long, right? He's young. So, if Martindale's got him coming, it's saying something for him. He spent 2015 and 2016. What I saw was 2015 was his first season, within the NFL. He was with the Ravens in 2015 and 2016 as a defensive staff assistant. It's amazing, absolutely amazing the different titles that they come up with. But when 2015 2016, right, when he was with the Ravens, Don Martindale, defensive coordinator now with the Giants, was the linebackers coach there. Then he spent 2017 to 2020 with the Bills, right, as their assistant linebacker coach. In 2017, when he went, Igorugwu went there in 2017. Joe Shane was the assistant general manager. That was his first year with the Bills. And then in 2018, Brian Dable, the now Giants head coach, came from Alabama and he became the offensive coordinator of the Bills. So he's that rare one, okay, where you got all, you know what I mean? You got Igorugwu. He worked with Shane, he worked with Dable, and he worked with Martindale. So that's he's got some connections there. So there's a lot of familiarity there, all right, with all three of those guys. That's probably one of the reasons why they brought him in. Now, I don't know, because the last I was hearing was about a day. Actually, I did the last video I did was about bringing in Ryan. Yeah, doesn't look like he's coming in. But, he was going to be like the inside linebacker coach, and we were going to have like an outside linebacker coach. So I'm not so sure if Igorugwu is going to be just a linebacker coach of the inside and outside linebackers. I don't know. If it's going to be him and his assistants, and they're going to take care of all the linebackers. I don't know. Or if there's going to be a middle line or an inside linebacker coach and an outside linebacker coach. I don't know. But it just goes to show you some of the reports you come up with. I said it was like Rob Ryan was supposed to be coming in. Brian Cox was supposed to be coming in. But it doesn't look like that's going to wind up happening. Plus, he was the linebacker coach at Vanderbilt. Plus, I mean, I'm sure that's not a glorious job. Maybe that's just someplace you just go to get a little bit of experience. That's all. Because, I mean, they were getting killed last year. They were played at Florida. I think they lost 42-0. They played at home. They lost 62-0 to Georgia. They lost at Eastern Tennessee State. I mean, they lost 23-3 to Eastern Tennessee State. They finished the season 2-10 last year. The conference, they're never going to win anything. I mean, that's just I don't know. He just went there just to take some lumps. I have no idea. They only won 2 games. They beat Connecticut, who was 1-11. They beat them by, I think, 3 points, and then they beat Colorado State by like 2 points, and Colorado State was 3-9. So I mean, they didn't beat anybody any good. And other than that, they lost 10 games, and a few of the games they really got clobbered. So I'm sure he's happy to be back in the NFL, where he's maybe actually has a chance of winning. Because you're down there in Vanderbilt, you ain't winning nothing down there. So anyway, we got the defensive line coach, and then we got the linebacker coach, and we have our secondary coach as well too. Then the Giants also hiring Mike Groh to be their new wide receivers coach. Now, as my thumbnail on this video mentions, he's the son of an ex-Giants coach, Super Bowl winning coach, Al Groh. Al Groh was the linebacker coach of the Giants 1989 and 1990. He was also the Giants defensive coordinator in 1991 as well. He helped Lawrence Taylor, because when he became the linebacker coach, by the time 1989, 1990 rolled around, Al Groh was the linebacker coach. Lawrence Taylor was in his 9th and 10th season. He played the way he played his first, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever years, and you give it your all. You throw your body around on every play, regardless of what the outcome might be and all that. Your body starts. He's getting up there in age. He was, blew up by 30, 31. He's getting up there. Trying to play around, with some of the younger guys. Plus, he gave his body, his heart, his soul, and everything to the Giants for that many years. Your body starts wearing down. So one thing Al Groh went up to him was, I don't remember if it was 1989 or 1990, but he said, Lawrence, I'm noticing that there's some guys nowadays that are blocking you that couldn't used to block you, because Lawrence would just take guys and just Lawrence could do whatever he wanted. He back in the day, he could push tackles back into the quarterback. He could just jump over the line. He could do all kinds of stuff. Well, he's noticing, Al Groh was noticing, there's guys that are blocking you, that you couldn't block you before. So maybe get a little old or something. So what do you want to do? You want to be like a good pass rusher, right? Or do you want to be like a real good all-around linebacker? Maybe get a few less sacks, but maybe be good as an all-around linebacker. Maybe good, fighting off blocks or whatever, stopping the run, rushing. And he said, Lawrence, said, I want to be a real good linebacker. So that's the way he kind of started coaching him to be a better all-around linebacker, because his talents were just starting to, subside a little bit. He was still very good, but he wasn't what he was back in the early 80s, mid-80s, in 1986 when he was the MVP and all. His body was just starting to wear down. But Mike Groh, he's the son, all right, of Al Groh. So Al Groh was the linebacker coach of the 1990 Giants team that won a Super Bowl. So his father has a Super Bowl ring with the Giants. He's also a college teammate. Mike Groh is also a college teammate of Tiki Barber when they were in Virginia together. What I was reading was Mike Groh was the quarterback, or was a quarterback. I'm not sure if he was a starting quarterback or not, but Tiki Barber obviously was running back, and Mike was a quarterback. His last 2 seasons, he was with the Colts as their wide receiver coach. All of these, you'll see there's a lot of familiarity here going on, and Mike Groh, there's no difference here either. Before that, there's 2 years that he spent with the Colts as their wide receivers coach. Right, in 2018 and 2019, he was the Eagles' offensive coordinator. The Eagles were 18th in points scored one year and 12th in points scored the other year. So nothing super duper phenomenal. But he was the Eagles' wide receivers coach in 2017 when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. He's also a 3-time national champion coach at Alabama. He was, it's funny, he was only there for 3 years, and every year he was there, they won the national championship. He was there in 2009. They won. He was there in 2011 and 2012. 2009, he was a graduate assistant on the team. They won the national championship, so he's part of that team. Then 2011 and 2012, he was there again. He was their wide receiver coach, and once again, both those years they won the national championship. So he's got a Super Bowl, ring, and he's got 3 national championships to his credit. So, all right. He's also been wide receiver coach with the Bears and the Rams as well too. Now, after the Eagles fired him after the 2019 season, he went to the Colts, where he worked under Frank Reich, who was the Eagles' offensive coordinator in 2017. Now, the Eagles did good, really did good. I mean, obviously they won the Super Bowl. But I mean, a lot of it, people think like Peterson's such a great coach and all that. Well, I mean, yeah, he might be a good coach and he might do okay with the Jaguars. But I mean, a lot of people seem to think it was Frank Reich, who won calling the plays and all that, that had a lot to do with the success of the Eagles that year. But I mean, Rowe was the wide receiver coach, and Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator. So after they won the Super Bowl, Frank Reich's name was hot. He went to the Colts, and then that's when 2018 and 2019, Rowe took over as the offensive coordinator. And he did so job. So maybe he's a good wide receiver coach, maybe not an elite offensive coordinator as Frank Reich is. But I'm saying, there's a lot of familiarity there. He went to, he came from the Eagles with Frank Reich. Frank Reich went to the Colts. After he got fired here, he went to the Colts with Frank Reich. So. Then finally we got assistant line coach, Tony Sparano Jr., son of the late Tony Sparano. Now you got some familiarity here. In 2011, Tony Sparano was the head coach of the Dolphins. Brian Dable was the offensive coordinator. Tony Sparano Jr. was an offensive quality control coach. Whatever the frick that is, all right? But also, Joe Shane was a national scout. All right, so you got all, not Sparano Sr., but Sparano Jr., Dable, and Shane. All 3 of them were on the Dolphins that 1 year. So, once again, the familiarity. In 2020, Tony Sparano went to the Jets as their offensive coordinator, and then Tony Sparano Jr. was there as like an intern. So he followed his father there. Right. And then in 2000, Al Groh was the head coach of the Jets when his son, Mike Groh, was an assistant with the Jets. So between Tony Sparano Jr. and Mike Groh, they both were on the team with their on the Jets with their father for 1 year. Al Groh and Mike Groh were in 2000, 1 year, they were both with the Jets. And then you had in 2012, Tony Sparano and Tony Sparano Jr. for 1 year, 2012, were with the Jets as well too. So I said you got a lot of familiarity there. So now basically, what we got is that, don't know how many assistant coaches are going to be. As I said, I don't know if we're going to have an inside linebacker coach, outside linebacker coach, or whatever. But it seems like we got an offensive line coach. We got an assistant offensive line coach. We got our tight ends coach. We got a wide receiver coach. We got a quarterback coach. We got a defensive line coach. We got our linebacker coach. We got our special teams coach. We have our secondary coach. The only thing that we don't have, all right, is we're still looking for a running back coach. Now, I haven't read anything. There was one guy from Notre Dame that turned the job down. He wanted to stay at Notre Dame. Now, that's fine with me because I'm a fan of Notre Dame, so I'm good with that. But I haven't seen any names thrown around at all other than him. So who the running back coach is going to be, don't know. And how many assistant coaches the Giants are going to have, that remains to be seen too. But what we do know is that the amount of coaches that the Giants need to complete their staff is dwindling down to just a precious few. And hopefully within the next day or two, we'll have the staff will be completed in whole. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants. Woo!